through the breath, we have access to being clear, focused, and present in the moment. We all breathe. It's free, and it's a wonderful tool in our pocket for when the going gets tough. Breath is really more than just oxygen coming into the body. Breath, energy, connects us to our awareness, and that makes us bigger than just our bodies and minds. It interconnects us with everything and everyone. Breath is a vast topic. It's filled many volumes of books, some of which I've drawn upon. And tonight I want to just focus on becoming aware of the breath and how that brings us into the present moment and gives us clarity. A student of mine recently shared this experience with me. He's living with cancer, and he had to go in for a full-body MRI scan and take this liquid radioactive fluid, get wrapped up like a mummy, put into the tube. And he's very claustrophobic. And actually, this would be a really hard experience for anybody to go through. Most people end up having to take a heavy sedative to actually get them through that. But not Bob. Bob had actually learned about breathing. And so he came back to the breath and watched his breath flow in and out. And that made him feel calm, in control, and safe in that present moment. Most of the time, we don't actually pay any attention to our body at all, right? It's only when we're ill, it doesn't perform the way we want to, or we're not looking like we think we should, right? That gets our attention. And we don't pay any attention to our breath either. We breathe 20,000 times a day. Okay, 20, that's a big number. How many of those do you actually pay attention? Right? So breath is actually habit. It can be a good habit or a bad habit. And our breath responds to everything that we think, feel, and do, whether that's real or imagined. So our breath is involuntary and automatic. And I think actually that's a really good thing, because otherwise most of us wouldn't be here. But when you pay attention to your breath, you can actually change the way you breathe. So it is both involuntary, but it also can become voluntary. And so by changing the way we breathe, we can affect how we feel, what we think, or how clear we think, and how well we perform. And because we live in very stressful times, most of us have developed these stress breathing patterns. And these stress breathing patterns actually signalize or send a signal to your sympathetic nervous system, I'm under stress. And then sympathetic nervous system steps in and starts pumping adrenaline and cortisol into the bloodstream, right? Primes us for action. Well, this is good when you're actually in action or you're facing a crisis, right? We need that. But we cannot constantly live in this fight or flight mode. And, we all make plans, 1-year plans, 5-year plans. Most of them never work out, right? Life always throws these sudden, unexpected things at us. I feel lucky if my everyday plan works out, really. And that's pretty much what happened in the fall of 2010, right in the midst of a recession. It suddenly became necessary for me to open my own yoga studio. And, my mind was just having an absolute field day. It's like, all the what-ifs you can imagine and all these different tangents out there. And it was just running this forward track. And eventually it would exhaust itself of going on this forward track. And then it'd go the backward track, right? And try to figure out the past. Rehash past conversations, with the studio owners. And, it actually went so far as to figuring out what they should be doing after I left. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? That's totally what it's like. My God, that's like watching a bad movie on replay. Okay, so have you ever caught yourself there where you just, your mind just jumps from one worry to the next, and a thought chases the next thought, and you're having conversations not just with yourself, with others. You're figuring out what they should do, and you know what? A lot of times it has absolutely nothing to do with reality right here, right now, right? So, the breath, coming back to the breath, that's what makes the difference. That's what I did through that whole transition. It's like, whenever I whenever I became aware of like, oh wow, Elke, your mind is like, on this whole story, it's like, okay, let's just take a breath. Let's come back to the moment, okay? And that's what got me through. And sort of, that's what the access to the breath is what got me grounded and centered. And then I could actually apply myself to what needed to happen. Was my mind present rather than absent with some story? You're probably thinking, well, she obviously had a lot of extra time on her hand, doing all that breathing, right? Well, actually I didn't, and my life is just as full as yours. And the thing is, it only takes one conscious breath to get you into the present moment. That's really all it takes. You can't watch your breath and worry about other things. So it just takes that one conscious round of breath. And you know what? We're breathing at a rate of 12 to 15 times a minute approximately. So I think we all actually have that time to take that extra breath and get us calm. But a lot of times the mind is kind of like, oh, I haven't got time for that breathing stuff, right? I haven't got time for that right now. I'm busy spinning a story, right? There's this interesting, saying. So we should all meditate every day, right, for 20 minutes, except when you're busy. Then you should meditate for an hour. Yeah. All right. What I really found is that, most of us are, we live in our head, right? Most of our senses are right here. So, we really just live in our head. We're completely disconnected from the rest of our body. And, that disconnectedness really, it gets us into trouble, physically, emotionally, mentally, because we actually lose the ability to self-sense. And when we're not self-sensing anymore, because we're just living in our heads, we don't notice that, I'm always in the sympathetic nervous system, right? I'm in stress breathing patterns. I'm just rushing from one task to the next, not really paying attention, but I'm on the go anyway. I'm on it, right? And I'm not noticing, I'm ungrounded, I'm off center, and that's where I caught myself. One evening, I come rushing in, flying in the door. I've got to make dinner. Okay, what's quick? Make a pasta sauce, put it in the blender. So I'm putting all the things in the blender and, turn the thing on. Oh, it's not working fast enough, right? So rip the top off and take my knife and start to push things down towards the blade because it's not going fast enough. Well, the blade caught the knife and rammed it through the side of the blender. And now I had tomato sauce spraying all over the kitchen. And it was in that very moment I turned around and I started yelling at my husband, right? So and he looks at me and he's like, and this is my fault? How? And I was like, okay, I get it. You gotta just come down, just come back to your breath, just take a few. As a matter of fact, just sit down for 5 minutes, right? Just walk the talk now, just like get grounded. And, actually he decided to fix the blender with some construction epoxy. So it still graces, our kitchen, and it's like, it's a great reminder whenever I look at it. I'm like, okay, slow down, relax, breathe, right? And really actually enjoy the moment. So my intention for tonight is I really want to give you a kinesthetic sense of what are some of these stress breathing responses that we have in various situations, and what does it feel like to take a good sustaining breath, because the breath really it's like a barometer for how we feel. So in a way it gives us a sense of how we feel, and at the same time it actually allows us to take care of ourselves. And before I do that, I picked out this very favorite poem of mine by Thich Nhat Hanh, and I think it'll really set the tone for our exploration there. So let me read that to you. It's the one part that I always sort of messed up one word. So anyway, here it goes. Breathe in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathe out, I know. As the in-breath goes deep, the out-breath goes slow. Breathing in makes me calm. Breathing out makes me ease. With the in-breath, I smile. With the out-breath, I release. Breathing in, there's only the present moment. Breathing out, it is a wonderful moment. Yeah, all right. Well, on that note, I want to take us on this, breathing comes self-sensing exploration. And some of the time I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, if that's comfortable for you, and other times when have the eyes open. So for this first one, if you actually, it would be nice, some of you are moving, that's excellent. Not moving up getting wine, or if you feel like it, go ahead, I won't take it personal. But sitting up straight is great. And so for the first one, just allow for your eyes to drift shut. And let's just take a few breaths and simply, sense the breath in your body. Just kind of feel yourself breathe. And just notice that movement of breath. And then from that, you're just becoming aware, do you breathe through the mouth or do you breathe through the nose? And then maybe we can expand that and see if we could actually feel breath energy in a part of our body that's not connected to the respiratory system. Say like your right palm. Just going to bring your awareness into your right hand and just see if this breath energy arrives there. And then we're going to let it go. And we'll ask you to open your eyes. Good. And then the next few things, there's several of them where I want to explore these stress breathing patterns, so you have a better sense of, what that might feel like. And then when you find yourself there, you can come back. Oh yeah, what was that? Was that good deep breath? So the first one, I think of it as the crisis breath, when we're actually facing an emergency. And for that, I'd like for you to take your fingertips and actually just bring them right above your collarbone there to the base of the neck. And so when we're in a crisis, when we're actually facing a crisis, we usually breathe through the mouth, and they're very quick, rapid breath. So why don't we do that together? Just take a few kind of, right? Can you sense the tension there in the neck, in the neck muscles, and then let it go? Let's not get stuck there, though. It's not to say we don't sometimes. So, these neck muscles here, there's many layers, but part of the layer is they're really your secondary breathing muscles. So they're there to help. But, in crisis breathing, they take over that job. And they're the only ones that, end up doing most of the breathing. And so a lot of times, when we get neck aches, that's because those muscles are absolutely exhausted. They're exhausted of doing a job they were never meant to do. They're doing the job of your diaphragm. So, if you get neck ache or you tend to have a lot of neck pain, that's something you want to check and see, how do you breathe? And maybe coming back and letting the tension go and finding a different breath. So that was one. And then the next one is, I'll have you close your eyes if you're okay with that. But I actually want you to go into just picture yourself in a stressful situation today or just recently. I'm really just going to go back into that situation and, see it and then feel your emotion. What was the emotion like in that situation? And just linger with that for another couple of moments here. Once you have sort of the situation and the emotion, shift the awareness now. What's your breathing like in this stressful situation and with this emotion? And then actually bring the hand to where you feel the breath there. Good. And then we're going to let it go, and I'll have you open your eyes. And so most of us there, right, we're still, crisis breathing, we're breathing with the neck and right up here, and stressful situation, we're breathing here. The first thing I actually want to do now is, before I talk on, is just take a nice long exhale. Just kind of let that, right? Because whether it's real or imagined, we're actually responding to that. Now, just by thinking about a stressful situation, I could feel the whole room was going to have this sort of inhale and hold feeling, right? Okay, when is it going to be over? When is she teaching us how to breathe well then? Okay, we're almost there. Okay, there's another breath that we often do, and that's when we're getting ready for a difficult situation, a difficult conversation, or maybe just a physically difficult task to do, and we're taking that big breath. And I want you to take that big breath with me. And just kind of feel that, right? So let's do that one more time. Let's get ready, big time. Right? So we're taking that big breath. So when we take that big breath, did you notice how we pull the abdomen in and the chest comes out and the shoulders come up? Well, that's not a big breath, actually. When the abdomen gets pulled in like this, the diaphragm can't go down, and even though it might feel like a big breath, we're still only breathing up here. 2/3 of our lung volume is back here, okay? Now I know because most of us always breathe up here, this seems really odd, but this is it. So we really want to get the breath to drop down here, and to get the breath down into this lower part of the rib cage, we have got to allow for the abdomen to actually rise and fall. So in that big breath, the moment you suck that belly in, you're not getting any breath. Okay, so that's just for me. That was a really important thing to realize in the very body dynamics, how that can't work out. And then I want to explore the difference between mouth breathing and nose breathing. So for the next few breaths, just open your mouth and take a few breaths through the mouth. Just going to see, right as you're breathing through the mouth, it's kind of a shallow thing, right? We're back to just breathing up here. And then close the lips. Oh, just found my microphone. I don't know if you've been hearing me. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so let's close the lips and then breathe through the nose. And as you breathe through the nose, you might just sense, right? The breath is dropping down a little bit. Yeah. Good. Well, the nose breathing is like putting a nozzle on a garden hose. The same amount of water comes out of the faucet, but it's actually being sprayed faster and further out into the garden. And that's our nose breathing. It propels the oxygen much more efficiently through the body. Now, if you're wondering, when should you be doing nose breathing? All the time. Every breath. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you think, do, feel, whether it's real or imagined, you always want to be nose breathing, even when you're climbing the mountain or you're on a treadmill. If you cannot breathe through your nose while doing that, you need to slow it down until you can do that to make it the most efficient. Otherwise, you're actually starting to get into hyperventilating. Good. Well, those are all the stress breathing, or the mouth breathing, maybe not stress, but not sustaining breath. Now I want to take you into what does a nice deep breath feel like. So I'm going to have you close your eyes if you're comfortable. And I actually want you to bring your hands on your belly, because oftentimes it's good to just have a sensory. And if you sort of want, slouch back down a bit, why don't you straighten up a tad, so we have a nice elongated spine. And the other thing is just totally let go of that fashion image, that flat, hard abdomen. You just can't breathe with that, okay? It's just not possible. So we're going to let it go, and we're not ever going to worry about it again, because breathing is better. So, okay. So with the hands on the belly, I'm going to breathe through the nose, right? Always. So breathing through the nose, and the belly rises into our hands. And with the exhale, you can feel the belly falling back. I'm going to do that a couple more times. This nice, easy breath through the nose, in the belly, and on the exhale, abdomen releases back. Keep your eyes closed. I want to give you another image here. Picture a water glass, and when we fill that water glass, water drops all the way to the bottom, and then it rises. And then when we empty it from the top down, right? So that's what I want to do with our breath now. I'm going to let that inhale drop into the belly, but then it rises to the rib cage, and then it rises into the chest. And when the exhale comes, we're going to empty the chest, the rib cage, and the belly. I'm going to talk through that one more time. We're going to inhale through the nose into the belly, rib cage, chest, exhale, chest, rib cage, belly. Do it one more time on your own. And then just take a moment to simply sense, what does it feel like now after this, sustaining, calming breath? Is it just a different sense of, being here? The body might feel different, or just feel a little bit more present, a little bit more focused. Good. And then allowing for the eyes to drift back open. So let's do that one more time with the eyes open, just in case that wasn't clear. So the breath comes in through the nose, it's belly, rib cage, chest, and then exhale chest, rib cage, belly. Right. So I hope tonight that I actually have inspired you to start a breathing practice at home. And that's not a big complicated thing. You don't have to sit in lotus for the next 20 minutes and chant and any of the rest of it. So all that takes is, it takes 10 rounds of breath, just the way we practiced just now. 10 rounds of breath, giving it your full attention once a day. Right? And then we can actually make the choice, because that breathing practice really becomes an anchor for your life when, sudden changes come our way and everything is turbulent, upside down. You can come back to your breath, just like Bob, and use that to come back to calm, safe, in control, strong, and enjoy your life.